Thank you for joining us today. As we look at how our children are doing, there's been a lot said in the post-COVID era about the additional support that our children need. And frankly, some children have needed that support right from the get-go. And to talk about that today, I have three experts within the Wyndham Southeast School District and Supervisory Union. Brandy Levesque is to my immediate left. Kevin Drury is in the middle, and over on the end is Whitney Lind. Why don't we start by having each of you outline your specific area of expertise and how it fits in to making our children do better in school. First, you, Brandy.
Okay. Well, I coordinate our early childhood special education programming. So we work with our preschool children ages 3 to 5 who have a developmental delay and need some educational support.
All right. And Kevin.
I'm the special ed coordinator for Brattleboro area middle school and Brattleboro Union High School. And I coordinate special ed services for students from 7th grade to age 22 for some of our students.
And Whitney.
And I work with the 7 elementary schools in the district, specifically as the elementary special education coordinator. And really, area of expertise and passion is literacy for me.
So there's a lot of different support within a classroom, and part of it is the paraeducator. How does that fit in to each of your areas of expertise? First, with you, Brandy.
Well, some of our children need a little extra support to access their classroom environments and to follow the routines and expectations of the school day and to support their learning. And so those children will have a paraeducator supporting them for a small part of the day up to the entire school day.
All right. And Kevin.
We have a variety of roles that our paras play. Some of them are kind of one-to-one and work with students, and that's the first person they see in the morning and the last person they see before they leave at the end of the day. We have some who support entire classrooms or even just a small group of students. And yeah.
And you, Whitney.
Yeah, I would say similarly, we have some paraeducators who are really focused on instructional support, and they might be pushing into classrooms, working closely with classroom teachers, helping students to access their core instruction in the classroom, or they might be pulling small groups of kids to a quiet space to work on specifically some instruction that a special educator has designed and coach them on how to implement. And then we have some paraeducators who work in our behavioral supports programs within our schools. And so they're really focused on implementing behavior plans that have been designed by board-certified behavior analysts. And the goal of that is really an inclusion-based program to help students stay in the classroom and access their learning and be around their peers as much as possible. And then we also have paraeducators within our intensive services programs. We have 2 intensive services programs, one at Dummerston and one at Putney. And those paraeducators really are working one-on-one with those students that have complex and diverse needs, but still have the central tenet of working towards inclusion and having those kids in the classroom as much as possible.
Now, when you say paraeducators, you're not talking about teachers. What kind of training do paras have, and how do they fit into the overall scheme of things?
A lot of our paras come to us with very little training. We do a lot of on-the-job training. We do a lot of professional development, a lot of modeling, peer observations, and a lot of support from the special education teachers. You don't have to have a lot of expertise to start off as a good para. You just have to enjoy being with kids and want to work to help have them be successful.
I would say one of the great benefits about working as a para in our district is that you're collaborating and teaming with classroom teachers, with special educators, with speech pathologists, with board-certified behavior analysts. So there's a lot of opportunity on the job for learning and supporting a para's growth, and it's one of the highlights. Because
there are some people who don't think about being a para because they're worried that I'm not prepared. What if I come up into a situation that I don't think I can handle? And how do I make sure that I keep the child first in mind?
And that's one of the things, some of our paraeducator contracts that require a bit more expertise working with students who have some behavioral concerns, and in our intensive services programs, we actually extend their contract a bit so that those teams have time after school, 1 day a week, to meet with the lead teacher and the other paraeducators in that program to really talk about, how are our kids doing? How are these the programs being implemented? What questions do you have? And I think that's really a statement on how the district values the paraeducator as a professional and a real important part of the child's team, that we, add that as additional time. Because it's really hard to meet in the middle of a day with kids. They don't give you a lot of flexibility for that all the time. So making sure that happens is really important to our kids' success.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to hear that the paras are valued, because anybody in any job wants to know that they're doing something worthwhile and that their employer values their work. Is that the case here?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I asked my team of paras, what's the best thing about working in this job in the SU? And the fact that they're valued as really important and integral parts of the child's IEP team came up first for every single person on my team. So I think it's across the board.
Yeah. We had a new para just start last week. And I checked in with her today, and I asked how everything was going, and she said, there's a lot to learn, but every single person in this building has just been so supportive. Anybody that I've asked for help, they give it to me. Lots of guidance, and I feel like I'm learning a lot and doing a good job, and I really enjoy working with the kids.
I would imagine that the different grade levels all have their different demands. Are there any that are tougher than others?
Any grade level?
Yeah.
I think they're all very unique, and also have the similarity that it's challenging. This work is really challenging, but it's also incredibly fulfilling. And I think that's one of the pieces that's a real plus for this role is another thing that my paras said was seeing growth, watching a child, be able to make that transition more independently than they were without the challenges that were there because of direct work that they've done in collaboration with other professionals. So,
and in each of your levels, are more children in need, and do you have enough paraprofessionals to do the job to your satisfaction?
There's definitely a need for paraeducators, and really just for people that love kids, that want to work on a team and work collaboratively with others, and that are excited to do, really meaningful work. We have a lot of expertise in this district as far as, occupational therapists and speech language pathologists and physical therapists, and I think a paraeducator can really get a sense of a broad spectrum of expertise and see, this might be a direction that I want to go in the future, just by starting in this kind of a role.
And I think a lot of people tend to, if they're not familiar with being a para, they apply for the early childhood ones. Maybe because they think it'll be easier or more rewarding or whatever, but I really think that there's an opportunity at the middle school and high school level to form some really strong relationships with students. And we have some students who really need those relationships, and it can be rewarding in a different way than I think a lot of people expect. I think people tend to be surprised when they are applying for an early childhood position, but then we're like, hey, why don't you come over to the high school and give it a shot? And they usually end up enjoying it more than they expected to.
And at the earliest levels?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Are you seeing more of a need?
Yes, definitely more of a need. We're definitely seeing more kids with higher levels of need to get through the kind of basic expectations of a classroom. And I think everybody is really in a space of kind of being kind of half full in a stressed way, and kids are feeling that too. And so there's that piece. And we are, our enrollment constantly evolves because of the nature of children turning 3 and then getting into our program. And so our need for paras constantly evolves as well. And we are always looking for highly qualified staff for that.
Well, thank you. And today we have the chance to see a little bit of what paras do in the classroom. Whitney, you've got a video that you've brought along with you today?
Yeah, I thought, the best way to talk about what it is to be a paraeducator is to really hear directly from paraeducators. So I interviewed 2 of our paraeducators in Putney, working within our behavioral program there, Joe and Devin. And so they've each shared just a little bit about why they love their job and what it means to them. And so really that, I think, is the most telling information that we could share with you today.
Well, I really appreciate that. We'll go to that now, and when we come back, we'll also talk about some exciting new things that will help paraeducators do their job better within the Wyndham Southeast Supervisory Union. We'll go to that video right now.
So Joe, what do you enjoy most about your role as a step paraeducator?
I think the main thing for me is making such great connections with the kids. It's very different from any other type of job I've worked in. Specifically here, the community is great. When I was younger, I sort of struggled in school myself, and I feel like the kids I work with, I can really empathize with them with a lot of the struggles that they have. So, but yeah, mainly just making the connections with the kids. It's a very, very wholesome and genuine feeling. So,
Nice.
yeah.
What opportunities for collaboration do you have here at Putney Central?
What do you mean by that question?
I mean, what are the people that you're working with? Often when we're talking about kids that are needing some behavioral support, there's classroom teachers and the BCBA, and so you're not necessarily alone in a silo with a kid.
True.
Who are you working with, and what are those partnerships like?
Well, there are other paras in the room, but they're not step paras. Could I think about that question?
Yeah,
To it? Okay.
absolutely, yeah. And you touched on this a little bit, but how do your connections and relationships with students impact their school experience and their ability to feel successful in their classrooms with their peers?
Well, I sort of said this in my interview when I interviewed for this job originally. I'm pretty weird. I'm pretty silly. I think that's why I get along so well with the kids here, because really at the end of the day, I mean, kids are weird and silly too, and when they see an older person that's kind of similar to the way they do things and the way they vibe, I think they feel very comfortable, and I think that's one of my biggest strengths with the kids here. That's really all I have for that question.
That's great.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm bombing. So
No,
hard
you're
right
not.
now.
You're doing great.
Okay.
In your role, you use a lot of data and you're following behavior plans. What is that experience like for you in working with the BCBA?
Well, my supervisor Bethany is amazing. She makes the job and implementing data and the whole process of implementing data very easy. When I first started, that was something I was worried I was going to struggle with a bit, but I guess oh man, I don't know. I feel like I need to come back to that question too.
No, you're good. You're good.
I guess one of the big things for me is when you implement data starting at the beginning of the year, and then as the year goes on, and you see a lot of growth in the kid just from the numbers you put in. It's a good feeling. It makes you feel like you're making a real impact on their lives. not only in school, but maybe outside of school too, you know. They're learning not only academic skills, but they're, as a step parent, you're sort of teaching them life skills too.
Absolutely.
So I get a lot out of that. And whether it's data or just feeling it in the moment with them, it's a great feeling. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what are some of the changes that you've seen with kids that you've worked with? Obviously, not any specifics or names or anything,
Sure.
but like, you know, man, we started out working on this, and then, you know, in a few months or by the end of the year, like, do you have any specifics that come to the top of your mind?
Yeah. I do. I have one kid who last year, you know, whenever they were struggling with whatever subject we were working on, they would just run out into the hallway and just want nothing to do with it, want nothing to do with the class. And from the start of last year to so far this year, I mean, it's a completely different ballgame. They're engaged in their work. They're engaged with their classmates. They're able to use their words when something is too much for them in the moment and that they need a break. And that's a huge improvement. And again, it's just such a great feeling to see how much they've grown just within like 6 months to a year. So, yeah.
That's awesome to be able to like reinforce that for them and then see that change happen.
And also like when they notice it too, like when you tell them, oh, hey, great job using your words, or great job following through on this literacy lesson, and you know, they have a big smile, you know, you can tell when they're feeling it too, and that's a great feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And then academics, when they're able to be successful in those, that academic behavior dance of when they're both going in the right direction, everything's feeling easier.
Yeah. It's truly great to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Anything else that you want to share about your work as a step paraeducator and the benefits of that position? What you like about it?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like personally outside of school, I've been able to have a lot more freedom with what I want to do in my free time, just like based on the schedule. I was able to travel to California this summer and work at a summer camp out there because we have summers off. And that's inspired me to want to travel every summer now. So that's pretty cool. And the health benefits too are great. Compared to other jobs I've had, specifically here, it's been very, very beneficial and cool. So I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
So Devin, what do you enjoy most about your role as a step paraeducator?
What I enjoy most is kind of setting the example for these students with difficulties, you know, throughout the day. Being there, you know, as a role model, leading by example, and just, you know, when they might get off track, redirecting them, not in a mean or malicious or, you know, bullying sort of way, but just, you know, kind of a kind, gentle, you know, hand in the right direction. And that's what I like about PCS in general too. Just everyone sort of working together in that sort of nature of bringing kids along. Yeah, I don't know.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What opportunities for collaboration do you have here?
Yeah, I really love the people that work here as well. Me and Joe, working hand in hand, we have a very good relationship. And then Bethany, I really love working under Bethany. I've had a lot of different, you know, at different jobs, I've had a lot of different bosses, and she's easily been the best. And it's not like a male-female thing. I've had female bosses as well that haven't been very great. And she's really interested in listening to us and you know, just collaborating with our ideas and just working together as a team. I love our team and the way we do things, and 80 as well. 80's a great example. I lean on Bethany and 80 quite a bit at times with students that are having difficulties, and just different styles about going about it as well. And I think they're just a common presence as well, AD and Bethany, which really help.
Yeah, it helps to see that like modeling and looking at different people's styles of doing things and kind of borrowing different ideas.
Right, absolutely. Because it's kind of fake it till you make it for me coming in. I didn't really know what I was doing and kind of learning on the fly as I was going about it. So it's definitely stealing different good things from people and leaving what doesn't work for me as well.
How does it feel to be where you're at now, where you're feeling more confident in the role?
Yeah, I have my own tools now that I can reach towards when I'm in difficult situations with students, and it's good because I feel like I have my own style now. It's not really borrowing much from other people. It's more just kind of going about it in the way I feel comfortable. That's
great. How do your connections and relationships with students impact their school experience?
I feel like it's really valuable. Most of the students would, on their own, have a really difficult time trying to get through the day, and just being there as like a guiding presence. Not really, for most students, not really just standing over the top of them while they're doing their work, but knowing that I'm there in case they do need help, and going around to other students as well, not necessarily just focusing on them in particular and giving them their space when they need it, but also being there to help when they are having trouble. Kind of working with the classroom teacher and the classroom as a whole, not just trying to make them feel like they have someone right next to them all the time, but just a guiding presence if they need it is there, sort of thing.
Yeah, letting them get that independence a little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's huge.
Right.
Do you have any examples of situations where students, you've put a student was struggling, you put a behavior plan in place and really saw a change?
All students in aftercare may now go to the gym. All students in aftercare may now go to the gym.
Yeah, I love seeing that because we've had students, when a behavioral plan is put into place, really struggle with the change and everything. And then you see it, a week, maybe two, maybe longer, but eventually it starts coming around and they get into the routine, the habit of what the school day is going to look like, and things start changing behavioral wise. And it's really encouraging. It's like, from our standpoint, it's super rewarding because it shows what we're doing is really mattering. And and it shows with their schoolwork as well. They're able to complete stuff and get better grades and overall just learning the content when otherwise they'd be their head would be elsewhere and they'd be struggling to pay attention and have relationships with peers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big piece, that social connection.
Yeah.
Too, when kids are struggling behaviorally, it can be so hard and feel lonely and isolating for them at the same time.
Yeah, right, because they got like a spotlight on themselves too. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's tough to escape it when, everyone's kind of has their focused attention on that one student. I feel like it's tough for them to do anything really without feeling like they're under a microscope. Having those plans put in place and seeing the progress, I think lets them be themselves a little bit more as well.
Nice. Anything else you want to share about the position and why you'd recommend it for others?
Yeah, I've had other jobs that, like we said, would pay more, but it doesn't have the purpose that I wake up with each day. I think that's huge for me personally, is just having something to look forward to in the mornings to get to, having a purpose, like I said, and it's just super rewarding as well. It might be exhausting, but the progress that we see makes it all worth it in the end, really. It's exhausting. I would say it's exhausting, but rewarding at the same time.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Right? Absolutely.
And joining us now are two of the leaders involved in the Wyndham Southeast Supervisory Union. To my immediate left, Michael Kelleher is the Human Resource Director, and Tate Erickson is the Special Education Director. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. You've got a dedicated group of professionals that we've heard from today, and I understand that you've got some exciting news for people who would like to come aboard as a paraprofessional or maybe thinking about this as a job choice. What kind of things will they be hopefully looking at in the future?
So on the docket, we've developed a program called Grow Your Own, in which we're hoping paraprofessionals would be interested in advancing to a teacher's role. And so we're created a program which would offer 2 levels of support. One would be guidance to help direct somebody in a particular direction, and then the other would be financial support. We're looking to provide financial support to 5 selected folks per year until they complete their program, and then 5 every additional year. So at some point in time, we may have as many as 20 paraprofessionals receiving support from the district.
And will they be able to handle all this along with their full workload, Tate?
Well, it is a challenge to work a full-time job and to do a full load of courses, but we don't require folks to dive in with a full course load. So you would be taking a number of courses at a time that work for you. But getting that real world experience of working with a dynamic collaborative team in education, getting a sense for why we do the hard work that we do in support of kids, and then having that funding and support behind you to move towards a teacher's endorsement, we feel will be very meaningful.
There's no question working with kids could light a fire underneath somebody that would want them to continue on, and this is a chance to do that rather than staying in a job that they like, but without cause for advancement in 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So what we're hoping is it achieves 2 things for us. One is to bring in a fresh flow of teachers, of course, but also to help us in terms of staff retention. While they're going to school, they would still be working for us. And so that's a dual purpose of the program.
That is an ambitious sort of program. Where would the people going to school be going to school?
Well, we're not saying that any particular employee has to go to one particular school, but we are building alliances with several colleges, as you would expect, the Vermont Community College as well as the State University. But we've also talked to Greenfield Community College, Keene State, and others. So it pretty much is open, whatever the individual employee prefers.
As I have seen the teaching profession over the years, a lot of people have come from both the Vermont State College system, particularly Castleton, and then Keene State. A lot of people will go where it's the most convenient for them and where they can, in some cases, do some of the coursework online.
Of course, I mean, the online option these days is just a game changer. And so they could be going to Castleton while never leaving the comfort of their home.
And I already know a few people who not only did that during COVID, but have continued to do that as students. Mm-hmm. It's a great program. When would this be starting?
We're looking to kick it off this fall, but we are looking at folks who may be interested this summertime. And so we're going to actually be announcing the program shortly. Probably by the time this airs, we would have made that announcement. And we want to sort of generate a lot of excitement, not only for our current staff, but for candidates who might be interested.
Now, I've got to ask, as a taxpayer, one, is it included in a budget somewhere? And is this a good deal for the community?
Let me take that latter question first. I think it's a great deal for the community because, again, if you look at our primary objectives, we're trying to have staff retention. So what does that mean? We have a degree of continuity of education provided to our students. I think that's of paramount importance. And then within the budget, yes, we are, I'm not the budget person. Tate maybe be able to better speak to that than I.
When we can't fill all of our positions, we end up having to lean in towards staffing agencies who may charge us a recruiting fee that's much more substantial than the price of us identifying and supporting people from our community who are really interested in moving forward in their career and bettering themselves. So we see this as the potential to be a cost savings over time, let alone with the housing crutch and how hard it is to find places to rent or buy in our communities. Many of these folks already are, established within our community, so we don't run into that as an issue as well.
And then, of course, there's the challenge of finding short-term or longer-term subs. That's always catch as catch can.
Yes, it is.
That's very much a challenge these days.
And so, you want to be able to have the level of predictability so that when a child comes to school on a given day, they know they're going to have the level of support that they need to succeed.
Exactly. I mean, why are we all here? We're here for our students. We're here for their growth, for their development, and I think this is a pathway to help them, to help our staff, and to help the community at large.
Because if our students don't succeed, that next generation in the workforce is going to have some issues.
And we work hard to prioritize supporting our staff so that they know they're a valued part of our community and so that they're better able to take care of the students that they serve.
My goodness. Who thought up this idea anyway?
I don't know if anybody really thought of it. I think it's something that has been an idea circulating around through other school communities. But I'm very proud to say that we're going to go full forward on it. And I want to give a lot of credit to our leadership team, including Superintendent Spino, who's on board with this and has been supportive since day one.
Well, congratulations to you both. This is a great idea. I look forward to watching it succeed in the community.
So do we.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, you've heard it. You should take advantage of this opportunity to get yourself a great opportunity in the workforce with a chance for advancement, with a chance to get an education. A lot of professions are doing that, and they're succeeding. But remember, these are our kids. This is Tim Johnson. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, education is key.